The latest application.
Latest application.
Okay.
Yeah, granted injunction.
Oh, it's been granted.
I mean, kind show, Niger.
My granted said, we are joyful at the Babana.
Yeah, near fan shame. But I think, okay, in the area, no, I think MPP so issue statement from the General Secretary. But I think Supreme Court
okay. Or court.
Say
in front of I say the 5-member Supreme Court panel presided over by Chief Justice.
The Chief Justice herself. Okay.
I stayed the execution of the ruling of Speaker of Parliament, declaring 4 seats vacant, pending determination of the substantive suit. Parliament directed to recognize and allow the 4 MPs to duly represent their constituencies
until the determination of the and conduct business in Parliament
and conduct the duties of their office.
Okay.
No.
And that's the breaking news from Parliament, from Supreme Court. Supreme Court, who said, or the substantive application now,
this order is not to last for 10 days, as requested by the applicants, but until the determination.
In the interlocutory injunction. It is 10 days near interim injunction. And I think that is what the applicants not filed. But Supreme Court. We are calling you into your man. The American Supreme Court paid this decision. Afenyo file a substantive application before the Supreme Court. Say, invoking the interpretative jurisdiction of the court to interpret Psalm 97:1 is answer same thing now. And was I file an application to injunct Speaker ruling now. What time na all file first one na Speaker man ruling. In the Speaker man ruling and run and our file fresh processes to seek to injunct Speaker ruling
the court
not genuatum says Speaker what ruling say 4 seats have been declared vacant by the tabua atosa ruling. So until say substantive case now fenyo de by beka ewie no MPs now can so ma vacate your seat no
so it's not vacant.
And you vacant the Supreme Court
for how many days
until so maka substantive issue na we.
But that is also not fair.
Supreme Court.
Oh, say me chema gini wechi. Me nka so mon kasai. But the mention say until the determination
issue, the MPs will still go to Parliament and do that.
But Parliament na how many days?
And they say emfa ho.
No dey me masem.
Dabi no emfa ho. Supreme Court e dey omu decision aba. Enti we can listen to what Speaker so. And I believe say at the hearing of this application the Parliament of Ghana had council to make an argument.
Can the Supreme Court injunct Parliament in its duties?
That's also a whole new. But
if it doesn't bother
because what the Speaker did was an exercise of his constitutional powers
as Speaker of Parliament.
Yes. Can another arm of government, as in the judiciary?
But no. I think the answer to that question is in Justice Abdullahi versus Attorney General. The Supreme Court
Parliament
comprehensively dealt with that. So when what the Parliament has done, that on the Constitution, then all more say.
But say
Abdullahi versus Attorney General
maybe the working country maybe say matters on interpretation. You cannot take out the Supreme Court.
Oh, of course.
So clearly.
But Evans's question is legitimate because
you cannot interfere in the affairs of Parliament when there is no need for interpretation. There are rules and regulations there. So clearly so.
In way no.
When in the day, almost have them. Say yes, we no. Veer off the because veer off interpretation. There wouldn't have been any need for all these Supreme Court interventions and all those things.
And let's see. I don't know when a Supreme Court substantive issue. I don't know. I don't know when a Supreme Court or say any from any quality sitting
no because Parliament
I don't know. I think it's in the by
November
7th. Oh, it should be first or second week of November.
No,
Parliament will rise.
That's what
to prepare for elections, no? And then after elections, no, about January 6th. But January 6th will be a new parliament.
But last time they say Nana Nyoma Titi.
Oh, yeah. That's I hear say some Supreme Court justice nominees were vetted. I was a parliamentary approval, and some loan will be before parliament. Okay, Kwekwa Santiaba, Kweku. Oh, now Kwekun so ntimi nyina so wana ne line nye.
Why is shit?
Why is shit? I get it.
Why is shit? Because who share videos now?
Yeah.
And people no move jubilate.
Parliament. Supreme Court.
Supreme Court.
There was a jubilation.
There is a jubilation.
There's no jubilation.
But it can happen, sir.
No, there's absolutely matter, even with what you guys are saying.
Yeah.
Court international, so there's no jubilation. Maybe a addition for all of us practicing this kind of business.
Supreme Court.
MPBM business.
And where you from the Supreme Court?
Hey. Oh wow.
Okay. Evans, forward the video. Forward the Dominic. Okay, Kwekwa Sante. Kweku.
Hello, yes.
Yes, Otemenka.
So, what has just happened in the Supreme Court is that the Supreme Court presided over by Chief Justice Gertrude Sokono 5-0 unanimously. They have decided to stay the decision of the Chief of Parliament declaring forces vacant. The court said real issues of natural justice, as in these 4 MPs, were all not given a fair hearing yet, and so the matter also has to do with representation. They have been to represent their constituents, also not taking cognizance of. And even though the lawyers for Alexander Afenyo-Markin asked for an interim injunction of 10 days, the Supreme Court, in their wisdom, panel chaired over by the Chief Justice herself, decided to grant the injunction until the full determination of the suit. And so what they have done now is to restore the status quo. That is, all those 4 members of parliament have been directed to actually allow them to perform their duties as members of parliament until the full determination of this suit. The case was made by Afenyo-Markin and his lawyers, led by Bakwesi Abedu and Jogate Aomuba Court, and there to make the case that these are serious issues, that they do not believe the Speaker of Parliament had the power to act the way he purported to have acted. And the Supreme Court has largely agreed with them, so much so that they have given them more than they requested for. They requested for 10 days interim injunction. Courts now granted the injunction up until the full determination, but they have made some consequential orders that the Speaker of Parliament and the Attorney General must file their statement of case in 7 days. On the filing of the statement of case in 7 days, all the parties would have to find a joint memorandum in 7 days so that the matter will be expeditiously delivered.
What it now means, say, MPs, were all the 4 MPs not present at the Supreme Court?
No, they were not. In fact, this action was not started in their name. Afenyo-Markin filed this action as a citizen of Ghana.
As a citizen of Ghana, okay.
About a breach of the Constitution.
Of the Constitution, that's fine.
In his words, allegation.
That's fine.
So that is what he came to court to do. The court has granted that, and the court has directed Speaker of Parliament and Parliament as an institution to allow these 4 MPs to do their work, because the Supreme Court also did what they call the balance of probabilities, to say that ultimately, if this case is decided and it ends up in the favor of the Parliament of Ghana and the Speaker's ruling, the Speaker can just go ahead and enforce the ruling.
Yeah.
But if it goes against the Parliament of Ghana, by which time these members would have been denied the right and opportunity to represent their constituents, that would be irreparable damage, for which reason they balance the probabilities and have granted an injunction.
A balance of convenience. Balance of convenience. Yeah. Okay. But that's okay. What it means, and I don't know, was the Parliament of Ghana represented by a council?
No, this was an ex parte application.
Ex parte, okay.
That it is only the lawyers for the applicants who were heard in court, and that is why they actually asked for 10 days, because the normal learning is that ex parte injunction of this sort only subsists for 10 days, after which you come for a repeat on notice. But the court, in its own wisdom, decided that this is a very important matter, for which reason they have granted it up until the end of this case, and the full determination is done.
Video now was sending lawyer Jogate in the full robe. I'm not representing Afenyo-Markin.
He was part of the legal team. He did not make any arguments in court, but he was seated right beside Pakwesi Abedu, the same lawyer that is representing Richard Alaska in the anti-LGBTQ case. Okay. But he was here as part of the legal team, but did not make any representation in court today.
Very well. Kweku, my nasi bibiania, yebesia ba bidin komobi. Kweku asante, ene yatenenka, reporting live from the Supreme Court. So, pictures and as videos from the Supreme Court, and Oba Asempa, videos from the Supreme Court, MPs, no, led by Honorable Alexander Kwame Afenyo-Markin, who is actually the plaintiff in this particular suit, no, Eba MPs Ninyina Edinechi, Enti MPs no oba ubehu videos no of how Enti Evans means our head of the political desk or Joy News. Evans, yes, I'm on for Kabo officially me ma as in MP. But it's interesting. I mean, how things can change with this speed. I don't know if this would bring about a constitutional crisis in our country. How Parliament will react, especially the Speaker, how he would react to this particular issue. No?
Yeah, because Parliament will reconvene on Tuesday.
Oh, they reconvene on Tuesday. Okay.
They adjourned yesterday to Tuesday.
Yes.
And they advertised business from when they were going on the break. And they said, Omoba, Omoba elected second deputy speaker.
Yes.
That's just say and this year, man, now come replace on Tuesday.
Yes.
Now we started the process to reconstitute the committees.
Okay.
So on the back of this, no, then so status quo. My fellow market is back to be majority leader. But you can expect a speaker who would like to have a say.
A say on
definitely. For me, the big issue, they say, what say would he have?
What would he say?
When
on Tuesday.
On Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay, you're trying now, Supreme Court, you're trying for their determination. Okay, say, I think you're making file, I don't know.
Yes.
You took that school of thought, say, once the process has been commenced, it's a stay, it acts as a stay.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
And I speak a disregard there.
Because even amongst legal or not say senior lawyers, no, there is still a debate on that. Whether the mere filing of an application automatically acts as a stay. There is a huge debate on that. There have been cases from the Supreme Court, some from the Court of Appeal, disagree. There is no common position even on that. And that's why I think Afenyo was advised to then file the injunction application proper. You understand? Rather than relying on you filing that substantive application for that application to act as a stay, then let me now go and file the injunction application.
And then the second
proper.
question now may be fair.
Yeah.
Can the court injunct Parliament in the exercise of its constitutional powers?
That's a whole big way. It's a whole big,
for me, where Speaker stands on that question would really determine whether we're going to have a constitutional crisis or we're just going to wait for the Supreme Court to determine.
But you can also look at it from the angle, say, can the court overturn something done by Parliament?
Exactly. That's a political question.
Political question. But which was done in the case of Justice Abdullahi and the Attorney General on the quorum issue and whether the budget was approved or not approved.
Interesting.
You remember?
And then let me take Professor Buchi.
Yes.
Now, I said there's a 40-year jurisprudence where the courts have refused.
Yes.
To interfere in the affairs of
Parliament. But when you read Abdullahi as Attorney General extensively, Justice Yoni Kolendi gave a very interesting ruling. Emma, historical antecedents when we were a parliamentary democracy to when we are now a constitutional democracy and the effect of each. You know, it's a I think it's a ruling, a judgment. It was any very interesting next few days, especially on Tuesday, what the Speaker of Parliament would say, and also what the Constitution says about a ruling of the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And when you fail to, and I say you disregard a ruling of the Supreme Court, the consequences thereof, and also Constitution.
And that's an interesting one too.
Yeah.
Because for a Speaker who is number 3.
Yes.
So number 4
is
stopping number 2, number 3.
But you know, sir, even the ruling of a Supreme Court, the number 1 cannot even disregard it. Because the number one, if you disregard...
It's ground for impeachment.
Grounds for impeachment.
So it applies to
number three as well. It's very interesting next few days. Yeah. But I think, again, in Sono, Yama buy because of an issue. I was following this and I'm like, because I heard Honorable Afenyo Markin speak about say you're treating unfairly. I don't know what's really the issue.
Mr. Mintiasia, up until last few minutes, Supreme Court injuncted process.
Yes.
Injuncted the execution of the Speaker's ruling.
Yes.
For all intents and purposes, the Speaker's ruling was the law in Parliament.
Of course. And that's what I told on my hand. He said until that order was stayed, it was the law in Parliament.
In fact, that's why Afenyo Man can call Supreme Court.
Absolutely.
The mere fact of Supreme Court is an admission.
Yes.
Say,
one coin juncture, it will work.
It will work.
Yeah.
And now speak away a pay. Over KT 3 seats ma MPP, 1 seat ma NDC na NPP 4 numbers number 135.
Yes.
And MPP numbers number NDC bar 136, na MPP the bar 135 na pay. MPP be minority.
Yes.
And NDC majority.
Majority, sure.
Afenyo Man can be minority leader.
Yes.
And case that force and be majority leader.
So we deduction from the ruling and its effect.
Effect.
Yes.
Sana